Alrighty, folks, welcome into the AfterSchrock. There's a lot we didn't get to today. That hour just blew by. It absolutely blew by. And then I always end up with calls right at the end of the program. So it's like, okay, so I tried to space everything out a little bit, but there were no calls in the beginning. And then at the end, there were all the calls. So I keep saying maybe we should start the show an hour later. I don't know. The AfterSchrock gets a lot of views, so who knows. All right, so we have a lot of stories, guys, that we did not get to this week. Let's take a look here. Okay, that tab crashed, but I covered that already. Trump executive order, got that one covered. We didn't really talk too much about the Mac or the Sprint thing, so let's start there. So once upon a time, Apple understood that Extreme Pro users like to have modular computers. Apple sold what is fondly referred to as the cheese grater Mac Pro. So named because of all the holes in the front of the unit, so it had a handle on the top and all the holes in the front. It looked like a cheese grater. The machine was amazing. We still get these into the shop for maintenance checkups from time to time. It was big, it was heavy. There were advantages to Extreme Pro users because it had room for expansion and room to breathe. It was somewhat loud, it was pricey, but because it was upgradable, the entry point was accessible and scalable. It was modular. Why are we getting a nickel every time they say that? Anyway, but in a PC kind of way. The cheese grater Mac Pro was essentially a very smartly designed PC case. You could add and remove drives, you could swap processors, you could upgrade memory, you could swap out video cards, you could plug in other cards, and all kinds of stuff. And then in 2013, Apple introduced what's called the Trash Cam, and that's what is out right now. That's a computer from 2013. That is a 6-year-old computer that you're buying for like, $5 grand or $7 grand. Apple introduced what's known as the Trash Can Mac Pro because it looks like a glossy trash can. All right, he was so proud, he bragged. When they introduced it, Apple was so proud that they bragged, "Can't innovate my ass," because we made a little round trash can computer. Since then, the machine has been pretty much a failure. Apple doesn't release its production numbers, but Extreme Pros in need of power did buy it at the beginning, but it was so limited in terms of lack of expansion and architectural design decisions that didn't fit with the market that had been universally mocked. Since it's pretty much been mocked since the day it came out. Worse, as overpriced and wildly out of date as it now is, it sports Thunderbolt 2 ports, for example. Apple still listed as for sale new on the company's website and at full price without any shame. I'm saying this is a 6-year-old computer, guys. 2 years ago, in April of 17, Apple had what Adrian Kingsley Hughes described as a desperate damage control meeting with some influential Apple ecosystem writers. At that time, Apple's senior vice president of software engineering declared that Apple had designed themselves into a corner with the Trash Can Mac Pro. So basically, that's where we are today. Apple's Mac Pro has been out since December of 17, has not been updated in 6 months, is ungodly expensive, starting at $5 grand and peaking somewhere around 13,000. The Mac Mini is more affordable, starting at 800. So there's a conference coming up. Apple's WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference, begins in just about 2 weeks on June 3rd. Typically, this is when Apple announces new features in their iOS and hardware. Is Apple going to announce a new Mac Pro in 2019? It's time to do it. If it's not time to do it, they got to be worried. The problem is Apple publicly declared it was going to take years to redesign the Mac Pro to make it modular. It said that at the beginning of the article that it's ludicrous that given just about any of you could spec out and build a below-the-doors off PC. Okay. You could build this computer with identical specs in a PC for like $600-800. That's how out of date it is. They can't. I don't understand why they're going to make a new case. They have to make everything Apple proprietary, so they have to design everything. They can't just go out and get a PC case and put the parts in it, because literally, if you Google how to build a Hackintosh, you'll find that. So anyway, that's the Apple story here. So things that can go wrong. Proprietary modules and module interfaces. That's the number one thing that'll go wrong, is everything will be proprietary, which means you can't buy any existing tech to work with it. Everything has to be bought from Apple, which will result in a limited module selection. No upgradability, which is the problem they have now. Lack of user maintainability and some kind of unexpected lock-in. So with parts you can't easily replace, it's difficult to do proper maintenance on the computer. Lack or minimal upgradability, again, that's the upgrade problem. Form over functional heat management. If you're buying these Mac Pros because they are performance machines, and performance machines generate heat, and a trash can cylinder is not conducive to removing heat. So the problem is, how is Apple going to vent the heat? They want to make it look pretty, they want to make it look stylish, but honestly, fan in, fan out is still the best way to manage heat. And if there's no front grill to take fan in, and there's no rear grill for fan out, how do you do fan in, fan out? Pricing that limits purchasers to high-end enterprises only. That's going to be the big problem. That most home users don't buy a Mac Pro because they are stupid expensive. We had Brad on the radio show said he's still using his old cheese grater because he's not editing Avengers movies, so it works for him. That's exactly the problem they're having. All right, so welcome in, Thomas. Quick question for the AfterSchrock. The semantic endpoint update processed on 3 of my home computers. I noticed an error said actions needed in semantic endpoint protection cloud is snoozed. Next day on error. Can you explain what happened? Well, during the upgrade process, it can take 24 hours for everything to fully upgrade. One specific point of that upgrade is the installation of the new endpoint software. So what we noticed in the shop was when the update was, we authorized Symantec to push the update to all of our customers. So about 4,000 people got the update. And we were also installing new installs in the shop. And we noticed that when we installed the new install in the shop, it was using the AfterSchrock defined group policy, which is a fancy way of saying we limit how you can turn things on and off. We make sure that this thing protects you. We have automated decision making already installed. And then the people who got upgraded, they were not on AfterSchrock's policy anymore. They were on a Symantec policy, a default policy. So then when we realized that, we're like, great, now we have to push a policy update to everybody. So we pushed a policy update to everybody that should get everybody back up to date on the current policy. So if your computer still has an error, please restart the computer. Wait 24 hours after the point of upgrade just to make sure that everything that's going to get downloaded and sucked down already has been. If it's still having a problem, give us a call in the service center, and then we'll remote in on the AfterSchrock desk and take a look and see what's going on and get it fixed for you under warranty. And like I said, the guys are kind of bored this week, so it's a good time to do it. $13,000, I could probably build a PC. Yeah, you probably could. $13,000. Then that's, you wouldn't have to. You could build what they were saying is that the new Mac Mini beats the Mac Pro in some benchmarks, configured at $5,000. And yes, you can configure it all the way up to $13,000. That's if you max out the memory, max out the solid state, add the higher powered graphics card to it, everything else. But even that maximized stuff is still not industry leading tech, not what you would expect to get for spending that kind of money. All right, let's roll down here. Russell, if you get a non-Apple M drive for a trash can Mac, you can't directly update the OS. You have to hack the software. If you get a non-Apple M drive, like a external hard drive, really, you have to buy Apple's external hard drives on the Mac, on the Mac Pro? That is nuts. I mean, Apple's done some crazy stuff, but if they're restricting like how you can, I mean, Microsoft's putting out an update that says you can't have any USB stuff installed. So I guess, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. All right, next story up. Sprint 5G hub available on May 31st. Fast speeds on an Android-powered media center. So this is a little box that you put in your home. Excuse me. And 5G will be available on the HTC 5G hub in Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, and will launch in Chicago, LA, New York City, Phoenix, and Washington, D.C. in the next few weeks. The 5G hub will cost $12.50 a month for 24 months with a $12.50 per month credit applied to your account. So basically the hardware is going to be free at a $600 full price if you decide to buy it outright. Service starts at 100 gigabytes for $60 a month in areas without 5G support. So basically what this little hub is going to do is it's going to connect to a wired interface, use that internet to broadcast a 5G signal. That will allow people within the vicinity of that transmitter to get 5G support, not just your family. So basically this is a tricky way. The problem with 5G is it's called millimeter wavelength. So when you think about a wavelength, you think of a waveform, okay? Or at least if you know what a wavelength is, you think of a waveform. So a thing that goes up and down like that, that's a waveform. Now, if the waveform if there's a tall difference, a high delta between the trough and the peak, if there's a building right here, wow, it can go over the building, yay! Now, 5G is millimeter wave. Millimeter means exactly what it sounds like. The wavelength from peak to trough is a millimeter. So if it hits a building, it can't go over the building. It can go around the building. It might be able to go through the building a little bit, but that's it. So the problem with 5G technology is you need a lot of towers because you have to hit every approachable angle or you're going to have gaps in coverage where you have 5G and then you don't have 5G, which would be really annoying if you were trying to stream something, you know, your signal keeps dying. If people in their homes and their offices install 5G hubs, especially ones they can get for free, that acts as a 5G repeater. And then anybody within range of that 5G repeater will have 5G access to their phones. So it's a little tricky. It gets you the ability to have 5G in your office, which if you're a tech company like us, that's a pretty cool thing. Hey, come check out your 5G phone at Schrock. You can get fast internet here. But really, you're just using our Cox internet. You're using our gigabit, our gigablast. That's what you're using. So then it's just coming over, it's just transmitting wirelessly to your phone. Ooh, you can also get on the Wi-Fi. It's up to you. So it's kind of a story that's yay and then at the same time. A couple of weeks ago, I had the chance to hold one of these in my hand. This writer says it was an excellent build quality, good-looking display, plenty of options. It's a media player too. Future update will add the capability to support VR content streamed from the hub or Vive headsets. No PC required. So yeah, it's a device that is basically, they strapped every possible thing they could to it to make it almost like an Amazon, like an Alexa show, but it's a 5G hub. And the purpose, I'm guessing, is to put up as many 5G connection points as possible out there in the public. Okay, let's scroll down, make sure we have any questions here. Oh, yeah. Oh, let's see. Use a non-Apple M drive for the trash can Mac. You can't directly update the OS. Really? The internal flash drive, if it's not made by Apple, because I mean, we buy replacement flash drives for people all the time, and we very rarely buy the Apple ones because they're 4 times more expensive than the ones we can get that are made, the same form factor. Apple. All right, Google appeals for calm over its upcoming Works with Nest shutdown. Do you have a Nest thermostat in your home or Nest cameras in your home? The tech giant has backpedaled on a stiff cutoff point for Nest account users. Google has revised plans for the migration from Works with Nest to Works with Google Assistant platform in an attempt to calm users concerned that their smart home setups will fail soon. Google acquired Nest and its range of smart thermostats and alarms back in 2014. The companies are merged under the Google Nest brand. The tech giant said last week in the name of simplification, the way Nest and Google accounts operate is due to change. So they're going to get rid of the way that it was done with Nest, and now you'll have to set everything up under Google Assistant. That's what they're saying. They bought Nest. Why do you think they bought Nest? That's what they're going to do. On the chopping block was Works with Nest, and developers were told on August 31st, 2019 that the Works with Nest program would wind down. Instead, developers were asked to shift to the Works with Google Alexa scheme. So these are developers who are making apps for other devices to work with your Nest devices, sensors and things like that. If the developer doesn't update the software to work with the Google Assistant, your smart home sensors could fail. Google says that retiring the program will boost future smart home features and improve data security and control, which they're probably not wrong about. But the announcement raised questions on whether current Internet of Things home setups would be disrupted. The Works with Nest allows Nest products to interact with third-party devices, skills, and smart hubs. The cutoff point, therefore, may have broken the connections between those gadgets, such as the use of an automatic schedule for your heating and how you control your smart lighting. So your light switches are not made by Nest, but it can work with Nest. It can be integrated with Nest. So if you get rid of the software that makes everything work with Nest, you're going to blow up a bunch of people's home automation. On Thursday, Michelle Turner, Director of Product and Smart Home Ecosystems for Google, said the company is committed to supporting the integrations you value and minimizing disruptions during the transition so that existing devices and integrations will continue to work with Nest accounts beyond the retirement date. Excuse me. One of the most popular features, the automatic trigger of routines based on home and away statuses, is a sticking point and one that consumers would not like to be without. So when you're at home, your Nest devices and all of its associated smart hub things act differently than when you're away. The thermostat can go to a different temperature, the lights turn off, whatever. Google intends to bring the same functionality to Google Assistant later in the year, as well as provide more device options in the Google account ecosystem. The lovely Kimberly and I recently have been on a home automation binge. We evaluated all the different systems out there, and no matter which way you slice it, the Amazon Alexa ecosystem is boss by far. Google is a distant second right now. And the reason they're a distant second is because they don't have the same kind of interactive interfaces that can work with multiple different devices. They need to create that ecosystem. And to create that ecosystem, they need to get as many deployed devices into that ecosystem as possible. So telling developers you have a hard date by which the products that you sell every day online will stop working if you don't update the software, that's the fire you need to light under developers sometimes to get them to actually update their stuff. So now that stuff is getting updated. Great. Now Google's going to back off that date a little bit because of user backlash. Because Google basically said, yeah, if you don't update your stuff, it's going to break. You're going to have to buy new sensors that are Google compatible. And everyone's like, what? And all the device makers were like, oh, God, no, please don't throw our stuff away and buy other stuff. And now everyone's going to get on board on the bandwagon. But this is what Google has to do to be competitive, because right now they are not competitive. The Nest products, Nest was its own little ecosystem bubble, and Google just bought that. And now they're trying to integrate it with the Google stuff that they're trying to design, and it's not fitting together. They need to change everything to fit together. And of course, they designed their stuff to work a specific way to interact with all the Google Home devices and everything else, whereas the Nest stuff will work with Alexa. You know, they need to adjust that and adapt that. So that's what they're working on doing right now. So if you have a Nest device, a Nest home automation setup, it's not going to stop working by the advertised date, but eventually they are going to eliminate these old sensors unless they get updated. You will have to buy new sensors. If your Internet of Things and Nest integrations are currently running through a Nest account, it's probably best to wait and not migrate too quickly to the Google accounts, or you might temporarily lose some of the functionality of your smart home until Google introduces those features into its new software. It will not be possible to roll back, so before shifting these important functions, you should wait as long as possible. So there you go. Any questions, class? All right, let's see. We've got a couple posts here. Let's take a look. I think I messed up and downloaded the secure updater last week thinking the Microsoft released the update. It downloaded and seemed to work because it installed and seemed to run the Microsoft update. Took about an hour. After the process, my laptop still has 1809. That's probably because you used the download link that you had for an 1809 update. So with Safe Upgrade is what you're talking about. With Safe Upgrade, you get this on our website. You go to SchrockInnovations.com, you click on Shop and Specials, you buy it there for $50, and then it's in your account. It's in your Schrock account. So you can log into your Schrock account, and you can go to your purchased software, and you can see all the updates you've ever purchased, including all the previous ones. So you downloaded a version 1809 upgrade, and it basically reinstalled 1809. You did an operating system refresh on your computer. Yay! It reinstalled 1809. When 1903 comes out, there will be a new availability. So you can download the can't think of the word, the Safe Upgrade for 1903 to your computer right now from your Schrock account. When you double click it to run, it will not run. It will tell you that it's not time yet. Then when it is time to run, at that point, when we open everything up, it'll run. So if you want to get ready, you can go to your Schrock account, you can download the 1903 update now, save it to your computer. Once it's there and once you're ready to run it, you can double click on it and run it. But in this case, Steve, you actually ran an old version of Safe Upgrade. You have to purchase a new version of Safe Upgrade for each update that comes out, because each version of Safe Upgrade supports a specific version of the Microsoft update. So yeah, 1903 is coming out here in about a week. If you want to get a copy of Safe Upgrade to install it safely on your computer and get a warranty with that, you can get that over at SchrockInnovations.com. We still have a few copies left. And remember, you do need one copy for each computer you're going to upgrade. So if you have multiple computers in your home, guys, if your computer is important, so you bought Safe Upgrade for yourself, but your wife's computer is not important, so you didn't buy Safe Upgrade for her, ladies, if you know his Schrock account, as long as you run it on your computer first, it's your Safe Upgrade. All right. Let's see here. What do we got next? Beyond the PC, Lenovo's ambitious plan for the future of computing. Lenovo, a leading PC manufacturer and top 5 player in the server market, has recently returned its smartphone group to profitability, and after visiting its China HQ, Charles McKellen reports on Lenovo's future. Oh, let's see. Everyone says the PC is dead, blah, blah, blah. They're always wrong. Sure enough, Lenovo is big in PCs, which deliver over 3/4 of its revenue, and has recently returned its smartphone group to profitability. As we scroll down. Yep, so basically, Lenovo is a Chinese company. Lenovo's chairman and CEO, Yang told ZDNet in Beijing, there's still a $200 billion industry here. If you try to find another $200 billion industry, it's not easy to do. So they're going to go after this. And then you're going to see, and we see this now, you can get Lenovo PCs much less expensively than you can get Asus PCs or HPs or even Dells. Drawback to this is we have lots of students who buy Lenovo computers, and students are notoriously hard on their computers. So then we get them in the service center with cracked bezels, broken touchscreens, broken palm rests, the stuff that breaks when kids have computers. We have to order replacement parts from China every time unless we can find something used on eBay that we can get here quicker. And then we have to explain, well, we can get a used part and it'll have the same 1-year warranty from Schrock, but it'll get here in like 5 days. Or we have to order the part from China, and the part will take 30 days to get here, and there'll be a 25% tariff. So yeah, fun times. So before you buy that Lenovo laptop, keep in mind that if anything goes wrong with it, you're going to be waiting a month plus to get it fixed because the part availability is just not there. There is no domestic bank of Lenovo parts. It's to the point now where if anyone ever recycles a Lenovo in any of our service centers because it's broken, like a bad motherboard or something, we don't even throw it away. We don't put it in the recycle bin. We keep it because we want to have those parts available in case at some point down the road another Lenovo comes in that needs that part. Then we don't have to make the customer wait 30 days for the part. So just a heads up there on that. All right, any Apple iOS users in the house? I got a story coming up for you here. Every time I see news stories about Google and their home automation combined with AI, it seems like it's the start of a really bad sci-fi horror movie. Thomas, they're all using AI. Amazon Alexa is using AI. All of it is AI, except for the disturbing parts where, in order to improve Alexa's speech recognition, humans have to listen to the stuff that Alexa hears in your house that wasn't preceded by the keyword Alexa, and therefore shouldn't have been heard. Interesting. I took a look at my Alexa account. There's lots of audio clips there that say not intended for Alexa. And so, okay, that's interesting. This was the first time I used the update. I did not buy an earlier upgrade. Interesting, Steve. All right, I will have Schrock Interactive look into that for you just to make sure that I don't know why you would have, how you could have, if this is the first time you used the upgrade, you didn't buy an earlier one. When did you buy this one, I guess? Did you buy this one before the 1903? Because once the update comes out, we leave Safe Upgrade on the website because people will wait a couple weeks sometimes and then buy it. So once all the push is done, we leave it up. So it's possible you could have bought your upgrade before 1903 was released. But I will have Schrock Interactive take a look into the functionality of that and make sure that it's not just installing 1809 as opposed to installing the most recent one. We'll make sure that we turn that off if that's the case. So iOS 13 likely to drop support for a lot of older hardware. iOS 11 and 12. iOS is the operating system that your Apple mobile devices run. Your iPhones, your iPads, your iPods, things like that. iOS 11 and 12 have been kind to those running older iPhones and iPads, not only giving older devices extra time, but also a performance boost. But a report suggests that iOS 13 will drop support for a number of older iPhones and iPads. Okay. It looks like iOS 13 will be the end of the line for the iPhone 5S, as well as a handful of other devices, according to the verifier who is reporting here. The following iPhones will not be supported by iOS 13. So if you have one of these iPhones, you will not have support. Like when iOS 13 comes out, you will not be able to install it. And of course, what ends up happening is when you can't get the most recent iOS, eventually you can't get into the App Store. Eventually you can't get your stuff just doesn't work right anymore. The iPhone 5S will be going bye-bye. The iPhone SE, the cheap one from Walmart, will be going bye-bye. This is going to blow your mind, guys, because I know some of you are still using these. My niece was using this phone as of like 6 months ago or 4 months ago. The iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus are going bye-bye. So if you have any of those iPhones, you will not be able to get iOS 13. So you want to start budgeting for a new iPhone coming up in your near future here. The 5S is a 6-year-old phone, so people still using it are people who are very, very careful with their mobile devices, people who have very limited budgets and got it for free basically when they bought a plan, or kids that got mom's old phone. Those are people who are pretty much running that. Okay, let's see. So if you have, okay, so this is going to get confusing. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus is not supported. The iPhone 6S and 6S Plus will be supported. So, yeah, confusing. Okay, the following iPads are headed for retirement. The original iPad Air device, so the original iPad Air, the thin one, and the iPad Mini 2 will be gone. Those two iPads will not be supported by Apple iOS. If you are running an older iPhone or iPad, it's probably a good time to start thinking about what you're going to do about this. So in other words, start saving your money because it's stupid expensive. iOS 13 beta will land shortly after the conference here on June 3rd, and the final release will probably be in September. So you've got 4 months, 3 months to figure out what you're going to do and where you're going to get that kind of money to buy a new iPhone, buy a $1,000 iPhone. Fun times. Just go to Android. Just do it. All right, so if you have Secure Updater, not to be confused with Safe Upgrade. Safe Upgrade downloads Windows updates to your computer for you, these important big Windows upgrades. Secure Updater downloads third-party software updates. You know, third parties, this is an interesting thing. Google has banned all third-party computer support advertisements. So if we make Secure Updater, excuse me, and we are selling Secure Updater, and I want to advertise Secure Updater, it's technically not a third-party program because we make it. But it installs third-party patches, baby. So is it third-party tech support or not? Yeah, it's just frustrating. So anyway, Adobe released a massive update for Flash, Acrobat, Reader. These are critical bugs that can allow bad guys to take control of your computer. This was these updates were released on May 15th, so 4 days ago. If you have Secure Updater, you've already got these updates installed. Secure Updater installed them within 8 hours of their release. If you do not have Secure Updater installed on your computer, you can get it. You can get a free 2-week trial at secureupdater.com. You go there, you sign up, you get free 2 weeks, no credit card required, none of that garbage. You sign up, you put in your email, you do everything. 10 days later, you'll get an email from Secure Updater. It's an automated email that says, look at all the awesome stuff we've patched for you in the last 10 days. So if you think you're keeping up on your patches right now, I'll almost guarantee you, unless you're like a super nerd, you're not. So, because there's patches every single day that you should be installing on your computer that do not automatically install or reliably automatically install. So see, that's what Secure Updater does. It's like a little over $2 a month, and it does all this for you. So after you do your free trial, about 10 days in, you'll get an email, and you'll be shocked with the number of, it'll tell you how many patches it's installed and for what programs. And then, of course, the kick then is, so why don't you buy it? There's a coupon code in that email, so look for that email. Get you a discount on your subscription if you buy into it. But you don't have to bring it into the shop. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. Of course, you can call us, and we'll install it over the Schrock desk for you for free. Not a big deal. If you don't want to do it yourself online and you don't want to pay online, we can take your credit card over the phone and do all that jazz for you. But the largest security update relates to Adobe Acrobat and its Reader DC on Windows and Mac machines. In total, 84 vulnerabilities were attacked in this, which were all deemed critical or important. A total of 6 out-of-bounds write problems, 1 type of confusion error, 36 use after free vulnerabilities, 2 heap overflow bugs, 1 buffer error, and a partridge in a pear tree. So there was a ton of stuff that was fixed in this update. So much stuff that I'm not even going to, I just stopped reading the list because it's just stupid. I'm just reading dumb stuff. In addition, there were 36 bugs that were just stupid little things that they fixed. So if you don't have Secure Updater and you don't want Secure Updater, make sure you get patches for all your Adobe stuff. If you don't want to mess with it, get Secure Updater and we'll do it for you. It's pretty straightforward. And it's local software. A lot of people get confused. They're like, I want to buy it from Schrock. I don't want to get it from secureupdater.com. SecureUpdater.com is a Schrock property. It's just that a lot of computer repair shops offer Secure Updater, some of them right here in Omaha, actually. So it's not kosher pickles to go to a competitor of ours in Omaha. And, they're making it good. I mean, so when they buy Secure Updater for $50, they get to keep, our competitor gets to keep $40. We get 10. So we're doing them a favor. They're getting to sell our tech. It's like being China. They can sell our tech, make a boatload of money off of it, and only pay a tiny little fraction back to us. Then they get almost all the renewal money too going forward. It's insane, right? So, but it's not kosher pickles to stamp the Schrock name on it and say, okay, yeah, just install this product that has your competitor's name stamped all over it. So we didn't brand it with Schrock at all. So if you go to SecureUpdater.com, that's actually a Schrock property. People have said, I go to SchrockInnovations.com and I can't find Secure Updater. That's why. You have to go to SecureUpdater.com to find it there. Same thing with Drive Advisor. Go to DriveAdvisor.com. You can get that free software to monitor your hard drive's health on your computer. All right. Regarding the story on WhatsApp, will factory reset wipe out the upgraded malware until I can get endpoint? Let me check that out for you here. That's coming up here. We have an update on the WhatsApp situation. WhatsApp! I did not just do that. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. It's been an hour and a half. I'm not Rush Limbaugh, okay? Bug lets snoopers put spyware on your phone just by calling you. So you didn't even have to answer the call. They just had to call you and it installed spyware on your phone. So if your WhatsApp rang, nobody was there, that's what happened. WhatsApp has disclosed a serious vulnerability in its messaging app that gives snoops, I love that, to remotely inject Israeli spyware on iPhone and Android devices just by calling the target phone. The bug detailed Monday in a Facebook advisory, blah, 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 blah. An attacker would need to call a target and send a rigged, secure, real-time transfer protocol packet to the phone, allowing them to use the memory flaw in the WhatsApp VoIP function to inject spyware and control the device. The target wouldn't even need to answer the call for the spyware to be injected, and the calls often disappeared from call logs after the fact. So if you weren't paying attention, you don't even know why your phone rang. While WhatsApp does support end-to-end encryption, which should protect the content of your communications between users, the security measure can be undermined if the device is compromised by malware. That's right. So if you have a program on your phone that's listening to what you're saying, your encryption on WhatsApp doesn't matter. The Financial Times, which broke the story, reports the spyware is from an Israeli company, the NSO Group, which has been accused of selling its spyware to governments with the dubious human rights records. NSO Group's flagship product is Pegasus, a so-called lawful intercept tool, which researchers at the University of Toronto Citizen Lab recently found deployed in 48 countries. The widespread deployment suggests it's not only being used to combat local crime and terrorism, but also for cross-border surveillance, for example, by governments seeking information from political dissidents and living in other countries. The malware can record conversations, steal private messages, exfiltrate photos, means take photos from your phone, turn on a phone's microphone and camera, and collect the location data. They can find the dissident now. Okay. WhatsApp engineers on Sunday reported they were racing to address the vulnerability as it was used that day in an attempt to install Pegasus on the phone of a UK-based human rights lawyer. WhatsApp deployed a server-side fix last Friday and issued a patch for end users on Monday alongside a Facebook advisory. Okay, let's see here. How do you fix it? My guess is you install the patch. According to the Financial Times, the unnamed UK attorney who is targeted with Pegasus is suing the NSO Group. Okay, whatever. This attack has all the hallmarks of a private company known to work with governments. WhatsApp is informed. I'm scrolling down quickly now because we don't need to hear about lawsuits and garbage like that. That's not interesting stuff. Under no circumstances would the NSO be involved in operating. Okay, so yeah, there is no advisory tips on what to do because literally you can patch the WhatsApp, but if your phone is already compromised, you're compromised, right? So a factory restore might fix the problem, to answer your question, Thomas, but it's not guaranteed because you can have a rootkit installed on the phone. A rootkit is a hidden partition on the storage device where the malware can reside and survive, you know, basically a nuclear bomb going off on the operating system, and then it just reinfects the phone again. So Thomas, we're going to be using our own phones as test cases for installations for Semantic Endpoint. Right now, we're just trying to get through the rush of That's what I'm looking for. The update, basically, getting everybody moved to the new platform. And once we have everybody moved to the new platform successfully, at that point, we're going to go through and try to integrate the Apple iOS and Android installations. If we are looking for a test case, I can give you a call, though. If we're ready a week earlier than the launch, which is probably going to be the case, I can give you a call and we can deploy that. The trick is we have to have your phone in the service center. So you have to be on site in the service center for us to install it. It's going to take about 20 minutes to install on your phone, but you have to be in-house for that to happen right now. We're looking for maybe an upgrade for the Schrock desk that will allow us to do this over the Schrock desk with your phone. Jury's still out on that one, though. All right, so there's WhatsApp. We covered ASUS web storage. I told you there was a lot today, guys. I mean, this is incredible number of stuff. Windows patched Microsoft XP and Server 2003 to head off a wormable flaw. Citing the potential wormable flaw in remote desktop services, Microsoft is patching not just Windows 7, but it's no longer supported XP and Server 2003 variants as well. As part of Patch Tuesday, which was the 14th, Microsoft released security fixes for XP and Server 2003. The vulnerability is in remote desktop services that exploit the vulnerability. An attacker would need to send a specifically crafted request to the target systems, blah, blah, blah. This is how you do it. The remote desktop protocol itself is not vulnerable, so if you're using RDP at home to remote into your computer like I am right now, you're okay. In other words, the vulnerability is wormable, meaning that any future malware that exploits the vulnerability could move from machine to machine using this software, very similar to the way the WannaCry malware spread. WannaCry was the malware that caused billions of dollars in loss of productivity worldwide, and actually took down portions of the internet in some countries because it was such a virulent strain of antivirus or of a virus. So Microsoft has patched this. They also patched it in XP. The reason they decided to patch it in XP is because so many people in developing worlds and China still use Windows XP because they can steal it for free. And it works with older software that they can also steal for free. So if you're trying to get work done and not pay anything, Windows XP is the way to go. It's just not secure. So the challenge here is if Microsoft doesn't patch XP, which they have no obligation to do, these developing countries will, it's kind of like what they tell you with the vaccination and the measles thing. These developing countries will develop these worms that will get so virulent they will eventually attack the developed countries and get into our systems, and we can't have that. Rather than letting people still running XP suffer the natural consequences of running an outdated, obsolete, not secure operating system, we're going to patch this to make it just a minor headache for them, not a major catastrophe for their network. So that's what's going on there. All right, we covered the Sprint Hub, the Mac. Oh, I didn't get to this one during the show. Okay, this is the last story, guys. Then I got to go. All right, let's make sure I got something here. I'll be up there on Tuesday, May 27th. I'm away from Des Moines. I'd like to be the first person to get my Samsung Galaxy S10. I can send you my phone number. Okay. Thomas, like I said, I'll get in touch with you. We haven't done test installs yet. Like I said, we're focused on getting everybody through this upgrade yet. Monday, we're going to start doing test installs. Let me install it on my phone before I install it on yours. I just want to make sure that everything is kosher pickles and working good. All right. So everyone's heard about automation. I like this one, Thomas. Everyone's heard about automation. So some jobs are more at risk than others for automation, right? I mean, factory workers, high automation risk. Have you heard the ads on the radio? Actuaries, low risk. Accountants, low risk. Bookkeepers, high risk. Accountants, low risk. Cops. Oh, robot cop that executes traffic stops, but will police even test it? An ingenious use of technology sees an attempt to reduce the potential confrontation between drivers and officers who stop their cars. We've seen the story many times before. It starts with an alleged malfunctioning taillight, and it ends with a shooting. We've all seen this story before. Hey, sir, your taillight out. Your taillight's out. You know, we've all seen that story, right? Oh, my gosh. Oh, okay. And all from a traffic stop. So this guy decided, a senior robotics researcher at SRI International, a Silicon Valley-based nonprofit, wondered if this might be one of those rare moments when a robot might actually improve society's lot. So he decided to create a robotic being called the go-between. It slides out from the front of a police vehicle and is the first contact the driver makes with authorities. Instead of a face-to-face interaction, this RoboCop has two cameras, a speaker and a microphone, and it has a screen in which you can see the human police officer's face who's in the squad car behind you. So instead of the police officer having to walk up on the vehicle with his hand on his weapon, they do that because they never, guys, if I was a police officer, I would too. You never know what you're going to walk up on a car. And I'm sure police officers listening right now, you've seen just about everything. You never know what you're going to get. You could have a guy just start blasting at you. You could have a guy take off on you. So you have your hand on your weapon. You're not drawn, but you just have your hand resting there, like it's like a comfortable place to put your hand. It makes you feel better about life, keeping life and whatnot. Notice they never put their hand on the taser. Why is that? I don't know. Anyway, so this robot comes out of the police car and approaches your vehicle, and you see the officer, and the officer's like, hey, we have a traffic stop. But it allows the officer to see into your vehicle and to assess the situation from a safe perspective, from a safe vantage point. If you've been stopped, you show your license and registration to the camera, and then if the officer decides to issue you a ticket, it's printed from the body of the robot. The police officer doesn't even have to get out of his car. So like if it's raining out or snowing out, I wonder if these things are like, are they waterproof? I mean, this one looks like it's pretty prototype. So it's not, it's literally, it extends on an arm. So imagine, you know those trucks that you've seen that are hauling the wind turbine blades, and they're like 5 miles long? That's what this looks like. It's like a huge arm that's like 4 car lengths long that extends away from the cruiser with a robot stick on the end. And it's like a bomb squad robot on a stick. Good intentions pour from the idea. The RoboCop isn't going to pull a gun on you. He doesn't come to you with the possibility of an aggressive, threatening posture. The conversation can remain civil. Both the driver and officer are given a level of protection. Brewer explained the psychology to the Washington Post. People are more dangerous when they're scared, so the goal is to not get people scared. You might imagine that police forces keen on de-escalating conflict would be eager to test the idea. So far, Brewer has not found any takers. He's talked to 4 police departments, and the reactions have been varied. Yes, of course, a bad guy driver might shoot the robot and drive away. Well, isn't that better than him shooting the police officer and driving away? Some drivers might just drive away without shooting, reasoning that the robot will be an impediment to the police officer's ability to chase. Okay, so there's going to be some people who run off from a traffic stop, and police are already mostly prohibited from chasing them through traffic to an extent. So if you have to recall your robot before you can, Dukes of Hazzard after the guy, okay, anything that might begin to reduce the number of senseless deaths might be a good thing, though. The robot won't suddenly change prejudices, but in this tiny amount might, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so police departments don't want to test it. Now, I'm looking at the police robot video, and let's see here. Let me see if I can get you a link to this story. Bear with me just a second here. Police robot ZDNet. And then, bam, the robot cop that executes traffic stops. But will cops test it? And we copy that, and we paste it right here. So you can see there's a video on this page. So you guys can see the video yourself. You can kind of see what this thing looks like. It's not convenient, to say the least. So yeah, it's a giant robot on a stick that comes out from behind a police car, swings around, and I mean, traffic is another car going by going to hit the robot. I don't know, but it's an idea, right? I mean, let's say right now this is a prototype. So right now you could come up with a million reasons why this isn't going to work, but it's prototype. What if this thing was a flying drone? What if a drone came off the top of the cruiser and went to your car window and hovered there and did all the same stuff, and then landed back on the car to recharge, back on the squad car? All the problems are gone. What if the guy drives away from the drone? It's a flying drone. Where's he going to go? It's like having a helicopter now. The police don't even have to chase the guy. They could just follow him home. I mean, go to his house and get him. So, I mean, it's got some potential, guys. I think it does. This is prototype stuff, though, so give it a chance, and it'll come too. All right, so with that, guys, in the coming week, we've got big Microsoft update probably coming out. If I say next week, they'll wait till the very last day of the month. So basically, I'm going to guess it's going to come out sometime in the next week to 10 days. When it does come out, Microsoft usually has released these in the past on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So if it comes out on, that'd be Tuesday the 21st or Tuesday the 28th, somewhere in that neighborhood. They've released them at all times of day. We had one come out at 7 o'clock at night. We had one come out at 3 in the afternoon. The last one came out at 10 in the morning. So we have no idea when to expect it. So make sure, if you don't have your copy of Safe Upgrade purchased, make sure you get one. The ones we have left on the website are all we have left. We're not issuing any more until we start to process some of the updates through. As we process individual updates successfully, the counter on the website will go back up again and more people can buy in. But it's just primarily to make sure that we don't end up with a support nightmare if something goes terribly wrong. On the website, your surge protectors are still on special for half off. It is severe weather season, so make sure you're checking that out. Even though 72% of all your surges don't come within your house, or don't come from outside your house, they're generated inside of the house by you. But the surge protector will protect you from yourself too. If you want, you can upgrade it to a battery backup with the surge protector for only $60 more. Then it keeps all the internet stuff working. It's got two sides. It's got surge protector only, and it's got battery backup. So you can plug your modem and your router into the battery backup side, and you can plug your computer into the surge protector side. Then if the power goes out, the internet stays up and all your phones and tablets work fine. Let's see, what else do we got? New builds. We are rocking and rolling. We produced like, I think it was in the last 3 days, 27 new builds went through the Papillion Service Center. They're all getting transferred out to the local service center, so expect calls if you have data transfers, things like that, to bring your stuff in. Your computers should be ready pretty quickly. All the ultimate upgrades have been built now, so that's good. Yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. As I mentioned earlier, guys, the service centers are a little bit slow, so if there's something you need done with your computer or an on-site you want us to come out to the house, we would be happy to do that for you. On a side note, those of you who are still with me here at the very end of the AfterSchrock, an hour and 45 minutes after the start of Compute This, are some of our most loyal listeners, and I really appreciate you being here with us. It would be amazingly helpful to us if you could both like and share the programs on Facebook and the posts that we put up, but also we've had a run of, I won't call them fake reviews because they're legit reviews, but for example, we had a gentleman who had a data recovery in who had us look at it, and he had another company look at it, and they said they could see pictures on the drive, and they gave him descriptions of the pictures that were accurate, so he knows they could really see the pictures. But for some reason, he decided not to have them do the recovery, probably cost, I'm guessing. He brought it into us because we do the work for less. The company was in Hong Kong, and I didn't tell him this on the conversation, but what ends up happening a lot of times from data recovery companies that are overseas, if you choose not to recover data with them, they will damage your source device so that if you send it somewhere else, they can't get the data. And then you're left with yourself saying, I wish I would have just let the Hong Kong company do it because they were obviously better than this American company. And unfortunately, it's the shady side of data recovery. That's why we don't even open your hard drives and stuff until it's time to do the work. Because if you want a second opinion, there's no chance that we've been in there and tampered with anything. You can go get a second opinion, get a price somewhere else, whatever you want to do. It all works perfectly that way. But he left us a 1-star review because we couldn't recover his data. The drive was the drive when we got it. It's just how it was. We can't recover the data. So then he sent it back to Hong Kong, and they evaluated it again, and Hong Kong says, well, Schrock damaged the chip, and now we can't recover the data. We didn't damage the chip. I do these recoveries like multiple times a week. I actually myself did this particular recovery. So if you could take a moment, on Facebook, we always appreciate the reviews, or the recommendations are actually more important if you could recommend Schrock Innovations. Also on Google, primarily, those Google reviews are of absolutely critical importance, especially now with the Google taking away our ability to advertise on Google. Everything is organic now. So for those of you who are still with us, my most valued listeners, I really appreciate you hanging in there. If you could take a moment today and leave the service center of your choice a Google review. You could just go to google.com, you say Schrock Innovations Omaha, or Schrock Innovations Lincoln, or Schrock Innovations Papillion. It'll bring up the service center of your choice, or all three. I wouldn't argue with you. And anything, you want to review the radio show, that's great. You want to review the service center, that's great. Want to review the company as a whole, that's great. If there's a technician in the service center that you like to work with, mention that technician, because when I do performance evaluations, when my guys get Google reviews, they get raises based off those reviews. And also, if there's negative comments, they get hit with those too. But most of the time, there's not. So they get raises mostly. So if you want to mention a specific technician, don't mention me because I can't give myself a raise. I'm at that glass ceiling where my pay doesn't go up. But nevertheless, guys, I appreciate you hanging with us. I try to deliver you an excellent show every week. This week had a ton of news in it, so hopefully everybody got their fill of tech news this week. Makes up for the last 2 weeks. Haven't we been sitting here saying like there's nothing to talk about? Please, Lord, baby Jesus, send us callers. because we have nothing. Like, I'm going into the show completely naked here today. I've got nothing. We could talk about the second quarter returns from NVIDIA show that people aren't buying as many graphics cards as they used to. Could that be because cryptocurrency prices are falling? You know, that literally. Oh, hey, speaking of which, hot stock tip, if you're still with me, hot stock tip. Cryptocurrency prices are going up wicked fast. Bitcoin is at 8 grand. And when Bitcoin goes up, it pulls up all of the other cryptocurrencies with it, including Ethereum. Ethereum is mined using graphics cards. So if you're looking for a hot stock tip, AMD and NVIDIA. Right now, tech stocks are completely battered and beat up because of the trade war. You could probably get in. I'm not a stockbroker. Contact your official smart guy for advice, because that's not me, blah, 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 disclaimer, asterisk, asterisk, cross. All right, so here's the thing. People are going to start buying graphics cards. They're going to go into shortage. It's already happening with ant miners, which are the Bitcoin mining machines. They're in absolute shortage, and new ones coming into the country have a 25%, 35% now tariff on them. So the cost of the machines is wicked expensive. We're going to see the same thing happening. So first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to notice the prices of graphics cards on third-party sites like eBay are going to start going up. So if you need a graphics card upgrade for your computer, buy it now. Then you're going to see that they're out of stock. You won't be able to buy anywhere. And new supplies coming in, the price will go up because of the tariff, but the price is going to go up anyway because of the miners are going to buy all the graphics cards. I've got guys that are emailing me asking me if I still have cards left from my rigs that I used to run, and I've sold them all a while ago because they just weren't economic to run anymore for that. But yeah, so AMD makes some of the best graphics cards for mining. They make the best ones. NVIDIA has a whole new 2000 series set of cards out right now that do very good on mining. They're very energy efficient. So NVIDIA and AMD are good stocks to pick if you're a day trader. Pick those, but make sure you sell on the bump. Don't try to ride the wave, because cryptocurrency prices go up and down. So I think yesterday, let's see, Friday Bitcoin was at 8 grand. Saturday it was at 7 grand, and this morning it's at 8,200 again. So that's some significant volatility. So make sure if you see a profit-taking opportunity that you take the profits. Okay. All right, guys, I got to roll. Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you again next Sunday for another edition of Compute This.